Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, what is it going to take for the Silver and Black to go into LA and come out with a victory on Sunday and improve to 2-2? That plus a whole lot more comes up on Friday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, September 29th, 2023.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. And won. And won. And won. And won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast to get the latest edition of the show as soon as it becomes available. Of course, as always, if you're checking us out on YouTube, thank you. We definitely appreciate you in a major way. Without you, there is no show on YouTube. And without Ari, there's no show on YouTube either. He can make sure that it's up on YouTube each and every day. Does a great job. We definitely appreciate him, and we appreciate you, Raider Nation. Matter of fact, you want to reach out to Ari, you can, at Ari Produces on Twitter, at your boy Q254. That's me. You can reach out to me on Twitter. And, of course, the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. And again, many thanks to Raider Nation. The show is continuing to grow in a major way each and every day. A lot of new listeners, new booty listeners to the show, and that's awesome. So obviously a lot of word of mouth is going on. Hey, check out this show, check out this show, check out this show. And that's how the show grows. So thank you, Raider Nation, for your consistent support here on the Locked On Raiders podcast. Coming up in segment number 3 of the show today, your calls and texts. Got a ton of feedback. I'll get as many in as possible. Obviously won't be able to get them all in, but try to get as many in as possible. And I have a few different subjects. I don't want it to all be just dedicated to one subject, but get as much of that in as possible coming up in segment number 3. Segment number 2, I'll do like I always do on Fridays and give you the keys to victory. What is it going to take for the Silver and Black to come out of SoFi Stadium on Sunday with a win over the Chargers? We'll do that in segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, news and notes of the day, everything that really I gathered from Thursday, and we'll close out the week really strong like that. Before we get into any of it, though, I do want you to know that today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. That's Game Time. I'll tell you a lot more about them later on in the show, but let's go ahead and jump into the news and notes here in segment number 1, and let's start with Thursday's injury report. And it's pretty interesting as far as you look at it when it comes to the Silver and Black. We got an injury report on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll get another one today, and then we'll get one on Sunday. We'll find out who's active, who's inactive 90 minutes before kickoff. So going over it for the Raiders real quick, Jacorian Bennett dealing with a hamstring injury, limited Wednesday, limited Thursday. Linebacker Curtis Bolton, knee injury, did not participate on Wednesday, did not participate on Thursday. Here's an interesting one. Defensive end Max Crosby, knee injury, limited on Wednesday, did not participate on Thursday. Very interesting right there. The Raiders need Max Crosby in a major way to be out there on Sunday. You want to have an opportunity to win this game on Sunday. You want to get to Justin Herbert. You want to affect the quarterback. You need to affect the quarterback. You've got to have number 98 out there. So very interested to see what the injury report looks like today as far as Mad Max Crosby goes. I think it's going to take a lot to keep him out of the game. But if he has a knee injury and to the point where he did not participate on Thursday, that's something to pay attention to. So hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds. But that's not the trend that you want, to see him go from limited to did not participate. Today will be very interesting as far as the injury report goes. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, concussion, did not participate Wednesday, was limited on Thursday. So what does that mean? He's continuing to progress through concussion protocol. So he was out there stretching, and he went through a little bit of the practice drills, but he can't go through the whole thing because he has not cleared protocol completely. And it sounds like he's trending in the right direction. It sounds like he's been trending in the right direction really all week long, but until he's 100% cleared, we just don't know. So it could be, Jimmy G on Sunday. It could be Brian Hoyer on Sunday. It could be Aiden O'Connell on Sunday. It's still up in the air. We'll see what happens today when we get the injury report. We'll find out exactly where his status is, and we'll meet with Josh McDaniels today, so maybe he'll give us a clue before practice even starts. But Jimmy G still in the concussion protocol. Safety Roderick Teamer, Achilles injury, limited Wednesday, did not participate on Thursday, so he's trending in the wrong direction. Malcolm Kuntz, defensive end, groin injury, not listed on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Byron Young, defensive tackle, the rookie out of Bama, ankle injury, not listed on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. So some key additions there that you really need to pay attention to when it comes to Crosby did not participate, Teamer did not participate, and new additions, Malcolm Kuntz and Byron Young. Those guys were limited on Thursday, so it's going to be interesting to see where they are later on today. As far as the Chargers goes, Joey Bosa, hamstring and toe, didn't participate on Wednesday, didn't participate on Thursday. You'll be interested to see what goes on today as far as the walkthrough. Running back Austin Eckler, ankle injury, limited on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Tight end Gerald Everett, illness, did not participate on Wednesday, did not participate on Thursday. Safety Alohi Gilman, heel injury, did not participate Wednesday, did not participate Thursday. Safety Derwin James, hamstring, did not participate Wednesday, did not participate Thursday. Linebacker Eric Kendricks, hamstring, limited on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Center Corey Lindsley, illness, did not participate on Wednesday or Thursday. Kenneth Murray Jr., the linebacker, is dealing with a groin injury, did not participate on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Tackle Rashawn Slater, ankle injury, limited both Wednesday and Thursday. And then defensive back Deion Leonard, hamstring, not listed on Wednesday, new addition on Thursday. So you look at the Chargers, and they're pretty banged up. And look at the guys that did not participate. Joey Bosa, Gerald Everett, Gilman, Derwin James, right? Corey Lindsley, and especially on the defensive side of things, though. That's 4 guys defensively and 1 guy at the offensive side of things. That's a lot. So the injury report should be very interesting to see how they're trending later on today and then find out who's in and who's out. It's obviously you don't want anybody injured. You never root for injury, but those are some key players that could really change the game as far as this one goes on Sunday. So pretty interesting to see that. Also, got a couple more nuggets here for you for segment number 1 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, news and notes of the day. Wanted you to hear a few little sound bites. This first one is from Lincoln Kennedy, the great Lincoln Kennedy. He joins my radio show every single Tuesday and Thursday. And so one of the subjects that I had on Thursday's show was about team goals and what he believed. And this is really, I threw the question out there to Raider Nation. What do you believe the Raiders want to get out of this 2023 season? Right? Like, what is the end-all, be-all goal? So you'll hear the question I asked of Lincoln, and you'll hear the answer, and really it ends up referring to the situation with the quarterback and how a lot of Raider Nation, and I'm not mad at you, hey, your opinion is your opinion, I'm good with that, but a lot of Raider Nation wants Aidan O'Connell to start in week 4. I don't think that's a good idea, but here's Lincoln Kennedy on the whole idea of all of this and what he thinks that the Raiders need to get accomplished or want to get accomplished in 2023. Here's my question and Lincoln's answer. With the young guys that they brought in, the guys that are getting some burn right now, and, of course, the blend of veterans, what do you think that the team, Coach McDaniels and company, are looking to get out of this season?
Get through the first round of the playoffs, get in the first round of the playoffs and win a football game. You obviously want to go further in the playoffs
right.
than just a game, right? But let's take in consideration it's been 2 decades since they won a playoff game.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so when you think about it realistic, you want to take baby steps. You obviously want to take a big giant step and say we're ready for the Super Bowl. But when you talk about the upper echelon in AFC, we already got wallowed by Buffalo. Do we think we're ready for that style of play? Because when you talk about that style of play, there are several teams that are up in that caliber, that you have to compare yourself to. And you're taking on one of them this weekend in the Chargers.
The reason I ask is because there's a lot of fans that have told me that they already know what the season's going to be, and they just want to see what the young guys could do, like a Aidan O'Connell. And I just don't think in week 4 that's a good decision. Like, that would be a good decision.
You don't do it in week 4. I understand what they're saying, but you don't do it in week 4. The thing is that if you look at yourself, if you look at the schedule collectively, Q, with this game here, and then you look at the next month of football, there's a number of winnable games in that next month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably not up until, for me, looking at the schedule, if the Raiders take care of business the way I think they're capable of, it can be running off a series of wins until you face Detroit Monday night. I think that's going to be a tall test for the Raiders, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you come back and then you have Miami and then Kansas City. We get into the thick of the AFC. But when you talk about the AFC, you talk about the Chiefs, who you haven't overcome yet. You talk about the Dolphins, the Bills. What other team was out there? Chargers. A lot of people were talking about the hype. The
Baltimore.
Bengals. You think they're going to get it right? The Browns playing with a stingy defense, finding a way to win football games. I'm just going through the AFC blindly.
Right.
And that's what I think, Q, that you have to put your standard at. If you want to compare yourself to anybody, you let me know after you beat the Buffalo Bills. You let me know after you beat the Kansas City Chiefs, because then I'll tell you you're ready for primetime playoff football.
So there you go. Lincoln Kennedy talking about he understands why people want to see Aidan O'Connell, but right now is not the time. Week 4 is not the time for the rookie, and that's all I've been saying. I'm trying to say that I think that he'll have an opportunity to go out there and show what he can do. I just don't think that the Raiders need to rush him out there in week 4. It's a very long season. Let him get his feet wet. Let the offensive line get put together. Let the run game get going. Right now, they have nothing but the quarterback trying to throw the ball to Devontae and Jimmy G. So, or not Jimmy G throwing the ball to Devontae and Jacoby, sorry. But I just think that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now. But again, I understand a lot of people want Aidan O'Connell in there, and I'm okay with that. How about Kevin Harlan? He's actually going to be on the call for CBS Sports on Sunday with Melanie Collins and Trent Green. I asked him as well on Thursday when he was a guest on my radio show, Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920. And I asked him straight up, does it make sense for the Raiders to go to Aidan O'Connell in week 4?
No. Yeah, I don't know that becomes a legitimate option. And I think Josh knows that he'll be ready if he needs to be called upon. But in a perfect world, I think you sit that kid, let him watch. Garoppolo is a vet. Josh is a terrific offensive mind. I think in the perfect world, you stick with Garoppolo. Let the young quarterback, learn by osmosis. If not during practice, he would probably get some snaps. I think at some time this year. Mm-hmm. The season's too new yet. I think there's still too much promise for the Raiders, and I just don't know that you're going in that direction quite yet. I still think Garoppolo is the best option, and I think they believe that as well. I think everybody knows exactly what the lay of the land is. It's probably less Garoppolo, although, like I said, I do think spreading the ball out more would help that offense surely, because they're going to be keying on Myers and Devontae as much as they possibly can, knowing that those are the first and second reads that Jimmy's making every time he goes back. And they just need help from Jacobs. I mean, they got to get Jacobs up and going.
So there you go, Kevin Harlan. I just wanted to ask guys that aren't me, right? And that's what I've been doing. And a lot of people are coming at me like, I can't believe you don't want Aidan O'Connell in the game. I can't believe that you would think that. But it's funny because people that are a lot smarter than me, guys that have been around the game I've been talking to, and every one of them to the T has basically said, yeah, you don't need to rush him out there right now. Week 4 is not the time that you have to do it because there's still too much promise in the season. I mean, literally, Raider Nation, the team is 1-2. They're tied for second in the AFC West. They win this game. They're 2-2, and they've had 2 division wins, and they're sitting in second place, right? I mean, like, why rush the rookie out there right now? Why don't you see what you got? Give Jimmy a chance if he's out there and see what happens, right? I mean, I just think it's too early. But, again, I'm also asking people that are smarter than me, that I know people respect more than me as far as football goes, and I'm okay with that. I just, I'd like to hear from other people as well. The final little nugget, the Raiders media schedule for today. I mentioned that we're going to be talking to head coach Jase McDaniels. That's at 10:15 this morning. So we'll be at the Intermountain Health Performance Center, 10:15 approximately. He'll be talking to us. Practice will be open to the media from 11:40 to 12. I might stick around for that. I have to do my radio show from Buffalo Wild Wings at the Galleria Mall in Henderson, so it's kind of close to the facility. So 11:40 to 12, that's when the practice is open to the media. Get some pictures in, some photos. We'll be able to see if Jimmy G's out there or not. And then 1:10 to 1:55 is when the locker room is open to the media. Obviously, I won't be able to be there for that because my radio show starts at 2 o'clock. So there you go. I can stick around for Coach McDaniels and definitely will want to hear from him on this Friday heading into the weekend as they travel down to L.A. to take on the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. Coming up in segment number 2, speaking of taking on the Chargers at SoFi Stadium, what is it going to take for the Silver and Black to come away with a victory? We'll talk about it in segment number 2 after I get to a couple of these sponsors, including DoorDash. And if you love the convenience of getting what you want right to your door with DoorDash grocery delivery, you can stock up for the week or order last-minute cravings conveniently. You trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites. Now you can get grocery deliveries that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you can find the best in your neighborhood and even help out with your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or they'll make it right. You can sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself. If you want even more value, no problem. You can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 down, $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. Easy substitutions right in the app and best in-class support. DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want. Right now, get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout. Limited time offer. Terms apply. Again, that's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code LOCKEDONNFL. Don't forget, for the folks in the back row, that's code LOCKEDONNFL for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. I also want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is Game Time. And you shouldn't have to worry about when you're buying tickets to your next big event, especially if it's last minute, right? Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sporting events, musicals, comedies, theater events, whatever the case may be, they've got you. They got killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and a whole lot more. They got zone deals. You pick the section, and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Right now, you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to jump into keys of victory. I do this each and every Friday. If the Raiders play on Monday, I'll do it on Monday. If they play on Thursday, I'll do it on Wednesday. But always want to jump into keys to victory. What is it going to take for the Silver and Black to come away with a win? And it's so funny, on my radio show, Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920, myself and Ari, we always do our NFL picks. And so we saved the Raiders game for last. And the Raiders are 5.5-point underdogs right now to the Chargers, right? And so it's funny, I didn't have a lot of confidence in the Raiders because they haven't been able to score over 20 points. So I originally on my sheet that I go through, to pick all the games for the week, I picked the Chargers to win this game. And I don't know what it was, and I still don't know. I can't tell you what the reason is, but I went through all the games, and maybe it's all the conversation we've had about the Raiders. Maybe it's all the conversation we've had about the quarterback position. Maybe it's the fact that they just haven't played good, and I think that at some point they're going to break out. I don't know, but I switched my pick before I actually officially made it, and I told Ari, hey, I'm putting an asterisk next to it and putting my initials. I'm riding with the Raiders. I'm picking the Raiders. I don't have a great sense why. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your backside. I'm not going to try to convince you that this is the exact reason why they're going to win. Just something in my belly. It could have been gas, right? I mean, I had some leftover pizza before the show, so it could have been gas for all I know. But I just think that for some reason the Raiders are going to win this game. Somehow, some way. I don't really know how they're going to do it. I know the blueprint that I have. I'll share it with you right now. But somehow I think that they're going to pull out a victory come Sunday and improve their overall record to 2-2. And the conversation we'll be having next week is a much different conversation than we've been having this week. And maybe it's just wishful thinking. Maybe it's just me saying, you know what, damn it, Raider Nation needs a break. Raider Nation needs to be happy, so the Raiders need to go into SoFi and get a victory. We know that there's going to be the majority of the fans there will be Raider fans. Vivid Seats, they already have said that it's like 65-35 as far as Raider fans to Charger fans. More tickets have been sold to Raider Nation than have to any Charger fans, so it's going to be a majority of the crowd will be Raider Nation. And, maybe they'll just go in there and get a dub to make their fan base a little bit happier and give them a nice, peaceful week as opposed to what it was this past week. But let's go ahead and jump into the keys and what I'm looking for from the Raiders to go ahead and get this victory. And they'll start offensively because that's what needs to get started. Somehow they need some jumper cables added on to the battery, and they need to make it happen, right? They need to get that thing fired up. That offense has got to get cooking, and it's going to start up front. The Raiders' offensive line needs to play with an attitude. They need to have that bully mentality. They can't let the Chargers defensive line push them around. They have really a three-headed monster on that defensive line if Joey Bosa plays. We'll see. Don't know yet. But they can't let that defensive line bully them around. The Chargers' defense hasn't been playing very well at all, right? There's a reason why Brandon Staley went for it on 4th and 1, less than 1, really, from their own 24 last week against Minnesota. He didn't trust the defense to stop anybody. So he went for it and said, hey, I don't want to put my defense back out here. Let's just have the offense keep the ball. Now, it didn't work out that way, and they still found a way to win the game, but the defense is not playing well. So don't let the Raiders, offensive line make the Chargers defense look great. That offensive line needs to play with attitude, and like Lincoln Kennedy said, physical, right? That's just desire and want to. Go out there and do that. If the offensive line plays with that attitude, plays like a bully, then the run game will get going. The run game has to get going. I don't know necessarily if they need 100 yards, but they need something close to it, right? Jacobs had 61 yards, but the majority of it last week came at the end of the game, right? They need to go out there with a sense of purpose, and Josh in game 4, right, needs to get going, right? I had Kevin Harlan on my radio show. I talked about him being on the show, and, he said that the Raiders offense needs to get that offense going. It needs to get cooking. Matter of fact, here's Kevin Harlan right now talking about, Josh Jacobs and what they need to get going as far as the run game goes. Check it out.
What I think is probably clearly hurting him right now is that Jacobs hasn't been what he was last year. And a quarterback's best friend is a running game. And that has not happened. I think they miss, something at the tight end. Now, Waller has been injured, and Waller, they had a hard time counting on him. Now he's a New York Giant. He's gone. But when he was at the top of his game and healthy and playing, that offense looked great. He and Carr had a nice connection. But Carr is gone. Waller's gone. Now Mayer had the catch this past weekend, which may kind of, awaken him a little bit. I have high hopes for him. I think he's got a very high ceiling, but that is not maybe developed like they thought it would. And there is a great attention by the quarterback who is leaning on 2 receivers most of the time, Adams and Jacoby. And there's not really a look at Hunter, which is, I think, surprising, as much as Hunter has been, in the past, a proven commodity. That has been very slow to develop, either with the new quarterback or even with Josh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really has not been, he has not been as prominent as he's been. And I think Renfro has, a lot of things to offer to that offense. So the lack of a third receiver, the tight end position isn't producing much yet. I think it will. And Jacobs clearly is not himself yet. And it may take to midseason before he finally finds his groove. I don't know that we can get into the offensive line and issues there, but it comes down to, I think, Jacobs not rushing like he has. That has been probably as big a hole for that offense as we've seen.
Would you say that that's the missing training camp in preseason, or is it's just not the same as it was a season ago?
No, I think there's a lot to camp and missing OTAs and not being with the team in the offseason. He's a kid who's incredibly dedicated. We know that. He is a pro and loved by his teammates and is a grinder, and he thrives in that. And it just, for whatever reason, has not taken hold yet for this year. I'm going to attribute to he's still rusty. His timing is off, and and he's just trying to grope his way through the dark a little bit. It looks like to me. But I think at any moment he could erupt, and it could be this weekend. Right. He'll be 3 games in. This will be game 4. I'd like to think that we're going to see some signs of what Josh had been over the last couple of years, because what he had been was phenomenal, including a title last year as a rushing leader in the league.
So that was Kevin Harlan right there. He's going to be on the call for the game on Sunday. Him, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins for CBS Sports. They're going to be on the call. It's the second time this season they've had a Raider game. So that's just him talking about Josh Jacobs in the run game and how that needs to get going. So that's the second part of the offense. And the third, someone not named Devontae or Jacoby has got to get involved in the passing game. That could be Hunter Renfro. That could be Michael Mayer. That could be Austin Hooper. The ball's just got to get spread around. It can't be so predictable that, it's just Devontae and Jacoby. It could be Trey Tucker. It could be DeAndre Carter. I don't care who it is. Like, I'm not going to get specific, but the ball's got to be spread around, and there's got to be a couple shots deep. You can't just all throw everything intermediate and short. You got to be able to keep the defense honest by taking a couple shots downfield. If that's running Trey Tucker deep, DeAndre Carter deep, I don't care, right? Devontae deep, fine. If you're going to, target Devontae 20 times, at least run him deep a couple times and target him, right? You've got to be able to stretch the field a little bit, at least have a threat of stretching the field. That also will go back to my other point and help out the run game. So those are my points offensively for the Raiders to get going. Defensively, turnovers are a must. There's been 3 weeks in a row where the Raiders have had opportunities to make turnovers, and for some reason or not, they haven't. Either penalties called them back or Marcus Peters puts the ball on the ground. You've got to get 1 to 2 turnovers in this game. Going up against Justin Herbert, he's going to find a way to score. They score a lot of points there in L.A. So they've got to be able to get some short fields, get it back to their offense, and, again, help them get going. They haven't got over 20 points yet one time this season. The Raiders have had 17 points, 10 points, and 18 points. You got to get over 20 points. That's got to happen. So I'm giving that a combination of offense and defense. I don't care how it gets done. You know, if they take a pick six to the house or a fumble recovery to the house, that's fine. Get a defensive score. Get a special team score. I don't care, but they've got to get over 20 points. They have to. So the defense has got to create a turnover too. Sacks, the pressure's got to be there. Justin Herbert can't have all day to throw the ball. And, oh, by the way, he runs. So Tyree Wilson, you've got to keep contained, right? Max Crosby's got to keep contained. Malcolm Kuntz got to keep contained. Don't allow him to get outside the pocket. Kenny Pickett started to run and looked like he was running free on Sunday night. Got to do a better job of keeping contained. Got to keep that quarterback in the pocket, not allow him to escape. So the defensive line is going to have a lot of work going up against Justin Herbert. And then most importantly, I think defensively, you got to defend the tight end, man. Donald Parham Jr. Don't let him go off. I don't know who's going to cover that dude. I really don't. I don't know if that's Nate Hobbs. I don't know if it's Robert Spillane. I don't know who you put on him. Hell, I don't know if you put Marcus Peters on him, right? Somebody's got to be on the tight end and not let him go off. Again, Donald Parham Jr. is a problem, right? He's been a problem for the Raiders, and Justin Herbert's going to want to hit him, target him early, and target him often. So the Raiders have to find a way to slow down Donald Parham Jr. So those are the three keys that I have defensively. The special teams, keep up the consistency in the kicking game, tighten up the kick coverage, and then try to break one. You know, a kick return, punt return, whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying you got to take it to the house. Just give the Raiders a short field. Like, you'll see a theme here. I'm trying to get the Raiders a short field, something easy to operate so they can get into the end zone, right? So if he can do it in the kicking game, maybe DeAndre Carter gets a nice little return. Maybe Trey Tucker gets a return. I don't care who's doing it, but they need to get a little bit better returns from their kicking game, something that I've been talking about for quite a while. Finally, coaching. Put the players in a position to succeed in all phases of the game. Offense, defense, special teams, right? Patrick Graham, do better. Coach McDaniels, do better offensively. You know, Coach McMahon, special teams, do better. Everyone, do better as a coaching staff, right? And if you're in a position like you were in Sunday night to make a decision that could potentially be a game winner or a game loser, make the right call, right? Again, I go back to Sunday night. That was not the right call as far as I'm concerned. Kicking a field goal, not once but twice. You know, I like what James Jones said. Him and Amber Theo Harris did the after the pregame or the postgame show, for Silver and Black show with the Raiders, right at the Raider facility. And James Jones said straight up, my mama said you can't win a fight if you don't throw a punch. When Josh McDaniels decided not to go for the first down and eventually the touchdown instead of kick a field goal, he didn't throw a punch, right? You cannot win a fight if you don't throw a punch. So throw a punch. Coaches, have some stones and go out there and throw some punches. And I respect the fact they've gone for it on fourth downs multiple times this season. It's not like they're afraid to do it. They just didn't do it when they needed to the most, which was at the end of the game. So that's what I got for you as far as keys to victory, offensively, defensively, special teams, and coaching. Coming up in segment number 3, what's on your mind? What do you think? 707-654-4693. A lot of topics to get to. We'll get to as many as possible. Coming up in segment number 3 after I tell you about our partners at eBay Motors. And we've teamed up with a Locked On Fantasy Football host, Vinny Iyer, to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. It doesn't matter if you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire. Every single week, we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's check out who Vinny has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Talked about Brock Purdy the other day. They also have Calvin Ridley. How about Broncos running back Javonte Williams? They're going up against the Bears. Let's talk about Javonte Williams. He says Javonte Williams has gotten a healthy 48 opportunities in the first 3 games, but so far he's managed only 180 scrimmage yards and 0 touchdowns during the team's 0-3 start. Expect the volume to finally convert into true fantasy production for Williams as Denver gets the wilting Bears defense in Chicago in week 4. The Bears have given up plenty of overall yardage and scoring juice to backs throughout the first 3 weeks, and Williams will be the latest to take advantage as a runner and outlet receiver. So there you go. That's everything Javonte Williams. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championships, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your car needs, eBay Motors has it. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, man, you're burning rubber. You're not burning cash. Keep your ride or die alive at eBay Motors.com. eBay guarantee fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Stealthy Raider in the 757. He's going to start us off. He's calling to talk about the 4th down field goal call that Josh McDaniels made on Sunday, and also talks about Jimmy G if he's not able to go on Sunday. Here he is, Stealthy Raider in the 757.
Yo, Q. This is Stealthy Raider from the 757. GT's Pop Warner teammate. Hey, just want to give you a little shout out about last Sunday. The job you've done it's been outstanding. As far as for Josh McDaniels and the TD call or non-call, what I say to this, Josh has a problem of outthinking himself. He just overthought it, because if you really look at it, and you brought the statistic out the other day, he should have went for it. I was in the end zone. I was in the game, and I could see him coming this way, and they stopped, and everybody where I was sitting at just gasped. But I'm moving on from that, like you said. As far as for Jimmy G being in concussion protocol, if he's unable to make it, I say bring in AOC. And the reason for that is because we know what Brian Hoyer is. He's not going to be the future. AOC is. Now, he can go in there and play 1 game, 2 games, and let Jimmy G come right back, or he can stay in there if he does well. The reason that you should bring him in is that you got to see what he has. If Jimmy G doesn't make it throughout the season, and then we're going to be looking for a quarterback, and if we are looking for a quarterback and we haven't seen what AOC can present, then we're going to miss out on an opportunity to potentially look at the other quarterbacks that are coming up in next year's draft. So I say let the young guy kind of cook and see what he has to offer. Anyway, that's my thoughts. And, again, I'm ready to move on from this last game and move on to the Chargers. But we are going to have to score, because if not, we're going to be 1-3. So, Q, take care of yourself, and thanks for all you do. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much for the call. And, yeah, I agree with you, man. I think you made the wrong call. I said that in segment number 2. I said that earlier this week. And that's why I asked him about it on Monday, and he had no problem answering it. You know, it was with all due respect, but I just was curious. As far as Aiden O'Connell goes, I can see him going to him. But, you know, once you do, I feel like you have to commit to letting him be the guy unless he just loses control of everything, right? I mean, again, because I don't think 1 game sample size for Aiden O'Connell is enough. You know, I mean, he can go out there on Sunday and stink it up. And they're like, all right, well, let's put Jimmy G back in there. Well, now you're not really giving him an opportunity. Plus, the offensive line is a mess right now. They just gave up 4 sacks to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had pressures in Jimmy G's face all day. The run game hasn't got going. Why put that added pressure on the rookie already, right? So that's why I think, you know, I don't know. I don't think that right now, early in the season, is the right time to do it. Plus, I don't think it would be the right message to send to the rest of the locker room, because most veterans, and I've been around the league long enough to know, most veterans feel like if you're putting that rookie quarterback in there, it's almost like a redshirt year. Like, okay, well, we're just going to see what we have, as opposed to really going out there and believing that you can win. Again, it's just something that I've learned in my years covering the league. So thank you so much for that call. I do appreciate you. Up next, got a text from the 909. It's a pretty lengthy one. Hey, how's it going, Q? I just wanted to put my opinion on for this whole quarterback debacle. Let me start off by saying I agree with you 99.9% of the time. This time, I just cannot agree. I truly think starting O'Connell is 100% the best decision, and here's why. I'm going to try and make it short and concise, too. He didn't. Simply put, Jimmy doesn't have the excuse of being young or unfamiliar with the system. His poor play is just baffling. We don't have time as a franchise to wait around to give McDaniels another year, and we also don't have time to wait around and give Aiden his chance. The star quarterbacks are in this draft, not a draft 5 years from now. I don't want us to go 4-13 this year behind Jimmy and only give Aiden 3 garbage weeks in December to see if he's our future. I truly believe that Aiden has potential, but in this day and age of star quarterbacks in this draft class, I don't want us missing this opportunity to set us up for the next 15 years, and I don't feel comfortable waiting around for Aiden if it means we miss out on this draft class. Aiden has vision in the pocket. He also has a bigger arm than Jimmy G. From what I've seen from all 22, it seems that Jimmy is missing wide open receivers, probably because he can't make the throw. This I can't say for sure. I'm not a pro quarterback coach, and I'm not an offensive coordinator. There probably are some variables other than a weak arm at play, but it doesn't change my conviction on O'Connell. That's from the 909. Thanks for the text. And look, I don't disagree with you at all when it comes to getting Aiden O'Connell out there on the grass. I just don't agree with you getting Aiden O'Connell on the grass in week 4. right? I mean, that's also, you have 18 weeks, 17 games guaranteed. Who says that the Raiders, if they go 2-7 or 2-6, who says that he doesn't come in then? Or 2-7? Why does he have to come in when the Raiders are 1-2, right? And they have an opportunity to go 2-2 and actually be in second place by themselves in the AFC West. Why would you want to ruin that, that chance? And I'm not saying Aiden O'Connell, you just put him in, it's a guaranteed loss. It's not. But there's a better chance that you're going to win with the veteran. And if you put Aiden O'Connell in, I feel like you need to stick with him, right? Don't tease him. Don't put him in 1 week and then, okay, we're going to switch back. Because then what are you're not doing the rest of your team any favors. Flipping back quarterback to quarterback to quarterback. If you have two quarterbacks, you have none, right? I mean, that's what they always say. So that's all I'm saying. I don't disagree with you, right? I do think at some point this season, Aiden O'Connell's going to get in there and we'll see what he's got. But you don't need to put him in week 4, right? Most likely, and this is just my gut feeling, most likely if this season doesn't go the way that the Raiders want it to go as far as wins, they probably put him in after the bye week just to get him a little bit more burn. That's just my opinion if Jimmy G stays healthy throughout the course of the year. They're giving Jimmy a lot of money too. Don't forget about that. They give him a lot of money to have him sit on the bench after week 3. I just think that that's too fast. Again, I don't disagree with the draft class coming up, the quarterbacks coming up, right? I was never a Jimmy G guy. I was never a Jimmy G fan when the Raiders were making the move to go get him. I wasn't an Aiden O'Connell fan either when they drafted him, but he showed a little something in the preseason. But I'll caution, that's the preseason. The Bears showed something in the preseason as well. They look great. They haven't been worth the salt since the season started, right? There was other teams that looked good in the preseason. They haven't been worth the salt since the season started. And right now, there's 15 teams across the league that either have 1 win or no losses, or no wins, 1 win or no wins in the league. 15. There's only 32. I'm not a mathematician. My mom didn't raise a mathematician, but I know that's almost half the league, right? So the Raiders are still in it. So why turn to the rookie already? That's my only point. That's all I'm trying to say. Not trying to cause some big beef and act like I'm the biggest Jimmy G fan. I'm not. But the veteran was brought in for a reason. And if he's available, I say that you need to have him out there, at least for now. At least see what, see what you can get out of Jimmy G. And then if the season doesn't go the way that you want it to go, then cool. There's plenty of time to still get Aiden O'Connell some burn, right? That's all I'm saying. But thank you for the text. I do appreciate you. Next time, leave your name so I can give you proper credit. Up next is a call from Marcus in L.A. He's calling to ask a couple questions about protocol and also ask one about the coaching staff. Here he is, Marcus in L.A.
Yeah, what up, Q? It's Marcus from L.A. I have a 2-part inquiry today. The first part being about concussion protocol, and just going to get some clarification on what the protocol is now. I think they made changes a few years ago and added some more parts to it, but I'm kind of curious to know like what the progressions are they're making, because I'm always hearing about people being optimistic about how they're going through it and how they're improving, but I don't know what they measure. And I didn't know that Jimmy could be part of the meetings, even though he can't be on the field. So it was weird when I heard that he could be involved in the meetings, but he has a concussion. But I thought he couldn't be part of the team at all. The other part of my question is about the offensive coordinator. I'm just wondering how much of a figurehead he might be, because if Josh McDaniels is the offensive-minded guru and he's taking the lion's share of the coaching duties for the offense, what is Mick Lombardi actually offering to us as an OC? When Greg Olsen was the coordinator for John Gruden, it was said early on that he wasn't going to be making any of the play calls, so he was kind of like a glorified quarterbacks coach. So I'm kind of wondering the same thing about Mick Lombardi and how much he has to be blamed about our offensive woes, or is it all Josh McDaniels? Let me know if you know, but I appreciate everything you do, and let's get this dub on Sunday. Go Raiders.
Thank you for the call, my man. I appreciate you. And yeah, there's like 3 or 4 phases that players have to go through during the concussion protocol to be fully cleared, right? You can start to progress through protocol and you can start to do a little bit more. Like on Monday, Jimmy was there at the facility going through meetings, and that was good. And then he's progressing. And then on Thursday, he was even out there on the practice field, right? He was only stretching and going through some individual drills. So he was limited. So he's clearly getting better, but he hasn't been fully cleared. Maybe we'll find out today he's fully cleared, and maybe he fully clears on Saturday. Then the question is Coach McDaniels and company confident enough to let him go out there without practice, without real practice, because today's just going to be a walkthrough anyway. So that's the question that we still have when it comes to the quarterback position. As far as Mick Lombardi goes, he's part of the offensive game plan. He helps put it together. He's bouncing ideas off Coach McDaniels, the whole offensive room, the running back room, the offensive line coach, all those coaches get together. They put the game plan together. He works very closely with the offense. He does a lot of the drills as well. During practice, he's out there, throwing the ball to the wide receivers during certain drills. And then he calls the plays in the preseason. So, he's not the play caller, but he does have a significant role as far as the offensive coordinator goes. So thank you so much, Marcus, for that call. I do appreciate you. Up next, got a text from Rhode Island Raider Rob. He says, "Hey, Q, appreciate you in the show. Yes, I'm frustrated with the penalties and the players not making plays, but you can see Josh McDaniels on the sideline, frustrated with the players, and I think that's very similar to a parent telling a child constantly not to do something, and the child still does it. It's not bad parenting. You just have to keep teaching and coaching until the player gets it. And different than parenting, they can let the player go and get another one. Thanks, Q. It's Rhode Island Raider Rob out. Just win, baby." Thanks so much for that text. I appreciate you, and that's a good way to put it. And you can see the frustration from Josh McDaniels on the sideline. And it's not just penalties. It's the execution, when the execution of the play is not the way it's supposed to go, or when something goes wrong, like Marcus Peters, for example, putting the ball on the ground. Like, that's a big opportunity for the Raiders to get a big momentum swing on Sunday night, something that they talked about and preached all offseason long, all training camp long, all preseason long, to get their hands on the ball, That's literally the number one reason why they brought Marcus Peters in, was to get his hands on the ball, create some turnovers that the Raiders have so many troubles creating. And when he had the opportunity to do it, make it really count and score points with it, he put it on the ground. Literally, he was thinking about the celebration before he thought about catching the ball and putting it in the end zone. You can't do that, right? Really good teams don't do that. Really good teams come up with the plays when the plays are there to be made. You've got to finish it. You got to catch it. You got to get it in the end zone. Then you can celebrate. It's like he was thinking about being in the win club before he thought about being in the end zone, and that's not going to work. But thank you so much for that text. I do appreciate you. How about Brian in East Las Vegas? He's calling to talk about Davante Adams and Aiden O'Connell and how he thinks Davante feels about Aiden O'Connell. Here he is, Brian in East Las Vegas.
Hey, this is Brian from East Las Vegas. Hey, I think Davante Adams, on his interview, he was talking to the coaches about getting Aiden O'Connell into the game. He said he's not going to wait, and that's what he's waiting for. The coaches know that, and if you look at all the fans and all the numbers, almost every fan wants Aiden O'Connell in the game, and if that many fans got to want it, a certain amount of people in the locker room want it too. However the percentage is, it's enough to make some people frustrated. And the best wide receiver on our team is expecting something that he's not getting. I think Aiden is the answer. So I know he likes Jimmy. I don't think there's anything personal against Jimmy. I think he gets to see him in practice every day. And I think Josh keeps telling him, just wait. We'll bring him out. Just wait. Let him learn. Just wait. And he's tired of waiting for him. I think it's almost guaranteed that Aiden O'Connell is going to play and start at quarterback this weekend. All right, Q. Thank you very much. Hope you can listen to this and go Raiders.
Brian, thanks for the call. And that's a lot of assumptions on that call, right? There's a lot of assuming going on in that call. I'm not going to be that guy. I can't tell you how Davante Adams feels about O'Connell. He really hasn't played with him, to be honest. I mean, he doesn't really practice with them that much. There was a few times in joint practices during training camp that O'Connell was getting some reps with Davante Adams when Jimmy G wasn't out there. But for the most part, he hasn't done a whole lot with them. So, again, my gut feeling tells me O'Connell's not going to play this weekend, but you never know. And look, you could be right. Maybe Davante loves Aiden O'Connell, is begging for him to get in the game. If he was, I think he would make that point known to Josh McDaniels and company. But again, that's a lot of assuming in that call. But thank you so much. I do appreciate you. We'll close things out with a text from the 562. Q, first-time texter, long-time listener. Not sure it's been addressed, but what is going on with Andre James snaps? Seems like he's sending floaters back to Jimmy G. Jimmy G seems to be falling back while reaching forward for the ball. Not an excuse for the interceptions, but seems like the timing for the play is off right from the snap. Take a look at the video and let's hear your thoughts. As a text from the 562. And yeah, that's been brought up a couple times on my radio show and on the podcast, that it just seems like there's something off with the snaps from Andre James to Jimmy G. Maybe that has to do with a different player, a different style than what Andre James was used to with Derek Carr. I don't know, but that does have to get cleaned up. And remember, there was a time when Andre James was having problems getting the ball to Derek. He was getting them up really high, and that's something that I've been noticing as well. Jimmy having to jump or lunge or whatever to get it. That's got to be corrected, right? And that's only going to come with reps. Another reason not to put a rookie quarterback in there right now, right? They're having enough problems getting the ball back to this quarterback. So why switch it up on them right now? So, again, we'll see what happens. We'll find out a lot more about this team today as far as the injury report comes out and what we hear from head coach Josh McDaniels. And then, obviously, we won't find out anything more after that until Sunday. So it's something I look forward to. Again, I picked the Raiders to win it. I can't give you a real good reason why I did. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to blow smoke up your backside. I'm not going to try to sunshine pump. I just picked the Raiders because, well, something in my belly told me to go with the Raiders. Again, I had pizza before the show on Thursday, so maybe it was gas or maybe I was on to something. We'll see on Sunday, but definitely enjoy the game. It's a 1:05 kickoff. Again, Kevin Harlan will be on the call if you're watching on TV, along with Trent Green and Melanie Collins. And I know Trent Green's not anybody's favorite, especially not mine, but Kevin Harlan's fantastic. If you're listening on the radio, of course, Jason Horowitz, Lincoln Kennedy, they do a fantastic job as well. One day your boy will be on the sideline. One day. I keep trying to tell them, but they ain't listening. So I'm working on it. Anyway, Raider Nation, for real, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Watch the game on Sunday. Hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully we're talking about a victory Monday on this show come Monday. Until then, Raider Nation, again, take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.